this video we're going to do an exercise called the Clam, Pulse and Leg Raise. Now I'm going to show you two different options of the exercise today. The first option will be slightly easier and the second option will be slightly more difficult, but both of them will require your resistance band. Now I'm going to show you 3 repetitions on each leg of option 1 and 3 repetitions on each leg of option 2. When you come to do this exercise for yourself, you could do anything between about 3 and 10 repetitions depending on how you're feeling today. So let's come down to the mat and get started.
So we're just coming down onto the mat, and the first thing we need to do is just tie our resistance band around our legs, and we're tying it just above the knees, and we want to go pretty tight on this one, so really pull that knot as tight as you can around the legs there, so we've got plenty of resistance for this exercise. And then once you're happy with that, we're going to come onto the hands and knees. So we want the knees underneath the hips and the wrists underneath the shoulders, just making sure you've got enough space to move your legs behind you, just like I'm doing now. We have a neutral spine and our eyes are looking down just in front of our fingertips there. Okay, so once we're in our start position, we inhale to prepare and we exhale to open the leg to the side, that's our clam. We then exhale to the ceiling, that's our pulse, and then we lengthen the leg behind us for the leg raise. So there are 3 little movements you've got to do on each leg, and now we're going to swap to the other side. So again, we exhale to the side, we exhale up to the ceiling, and then we exhale to lengthen the leg away from us. So this first option here, we're keeping both hands firmly on the ground, which is going to give us a little bit more stability. So what I'd like you to notice here is that I'm keeping my upper body really nice and still. My spine is still staying neutral, so even though I've got really big movements occurring through my hips, knees and ankles here, I'm not shifting the position of my spine out of neutral. And I'm achieving that by using my core muscles. So every time I'm exhaling to move the leg, I'm drawing the belly button up towards the spine, I'm drawing the pelvic floor in towards the rib cage here, and that's what's helping me keep that stability. So this is a great exercise for strengthening the legs and all the muscles through the hips and the pelvic area, which is so important during pregnancy. So we should be feeling here that as we take that leg out to the side, the outsides of the thighs and the glutes are working. As the leg goes up to the ceiling, we're going to feel the back of the leg working, the hamstrings and also those glute muscles again in the buttocks. And then as the leg goes out behind us, again, we're going to feel hamstrings and glutes working. And we're pointing our toes throughout, which means we're engaging all the muscles below the knee in the leg. So a really, really good leg strengthener. If you are finding it too much, you can always remove the band from the legs. That's not a problem at all. This is just because we want to get a little bit of extra strengthening that we've added in the resistance. So we're now just coming into our second option, and all we're doing here is just taking one hand away from underneath us. So I've just got the lightest fingertip pressure there, so just help me keep my balance. But now I have an arm and a leg essentially off the ground. I'm a little bit less stable and my core muscles are having to work a little bit harder. So we just position that hand and then we can get moving with the exercise. So the other thing to note here is that I'm not over opening my hips here. If I had a little cup of tea balanced on my lower back here just above my bottom, I should be keeping it really nice and still and not losing any of the content. So particularly on this first movement, just be careful not to over open the leg. We're not designed to get the knee up to the height of the hip on that first movement, so don't feel you need to try and do that. You just open up the knee to the side, and as soon as you feel the resistance, you know that you've gone far enough. Again, when the leg goes up to the ceiling, we want to keep that leg at 90 degrees as best we can. And then we can really straighten and just keep that foot about the height of the buttock. Don't go too high with it again, otherwise it'll become really difficult to keep that neutral spine position. So this is a great sort of body awareness exercise or proprioception exercise here because we can't see what's happening with our legs. So we're really having to sort of concentrate very hard on what we're doing here with our legs to make sure that we don't lose our balance. So this is pretty tiring exercise here. You know, we're getting lots of joint stability, bearing weight through our wrists here, through our knees, and we've got lots of little movements to do for every single repetition. So remember, you can always do a few repetitions, take a break, come back into position. You don't have to get through everything in one go.